Hey guys, I'm live here in the studio. I don't think there's anybody here because you're all waiting on YouTube for me to show up. For some reason, my computer is experiencing technical difficulties. So we're hanging out on Instagram Live while we wait for YouTube to show up. It's great. It's great. Hey guys, how's it going? We might have to do Creativity Bootcamp on Instagram tonight, and then maybe I'll record a separate video and then upload that to YouTube. I don't know, but you know what's frustrating is that you think, you know, you've practiced your YouTube live and you've done it a couple times now, and you're like, yeah, I can go to my son's piano recital before I go to YouTube live because, hey, I'm good. Like we're practiced, and we've got all the cameras and everything set up, like we're good to go. And then you show up and you expect it to just like flow, and you get like roadblock and roadblock and roadblock and roadblock, and you're like, I have people waiting. I like sent out a link. I'm supposed to be doing a creativity boot camp, and I literally, like, for some reason my iMac is not recognizing my webcam. So that's awesome. So I'm here, and does anybody want to have a creativity boot camp right now? Because I prepared some good stuff to share with my YouTube people tonight, and it's not working. I've got a web guy who's helping me out, and we're hoping that it works out and that I could still go live on YouTube, but I don't know. In the meantime, you guys want to see what I'm working on? You want to see some sneak peeks? I haven't posted any of this stuff, so I'll show you. We'll do like a little studio tour here. Let's see. I gotta flip my camera. I think you guys saw, by the way, we are getting the studio all set up for open house this weekend. So we're getting out cool, like Mother's Day art, and so we're getting that all ready. And then this is a project I'm working on. This is a 5x3 panel that I made, and I put a muslin, I gessoed a piece of muslin to the front. And so that's in process, but I'm working on a bunch of paintings of Christ right now. So this is a portrait in process. It's going to be beautiful when it's done, but you know, we're still in the it's not done yet stage. But then this piece, I can't even believe I'm showing this to you guys because I haven't posted anything about this yet. Well, I did tell you that I wanted to paint Jesus wept, but here it is in process. You guys can see all those little tiny marks that I paint with. But yeah, this is going to be such a special piece to me. I'm so excited about it. And honestly, like, I can't work on it without crying. Like every time I sit down to work on it, I just get all weepy because it just means like so much to me. And then I've been talking about this Strong Women series, and here's a painting. You guys have seen clips of this, I think. I've posted some things about it, but I haven't posted the finished piece yet because it's not quite done yet. But this painting is called Pull Up, and I'm so excited about it because it's not just about like having an awesome back and being ridiculously strong, which this girl is, but it's like I had this thought in regards to this image and painting a girl doing a pull-up, and it was like, Jenedy, it's like I need you to pull up. And I received that message in the context of like God sent us to a world like acted on by gravity. Like we literally have like a downward physical force acting on us at all times. And that's just like a symbol of all the downward emotional and spiritual negative forces that are acting on us at all times. And it's like he needs us to pull up. And then as you like resist that pull of gravity, like you get stronger. So I'm really, really excited about that piece. And let's check on, how's it going, Josh?
It's not. But I
Should
told everyone to go to the Instagram Live.
Oh, okay.
So I think, what if we just keep...
Okay, guys, are you good if I just do my Creativity Bootcamp on Instagram Live tonight? We don't have fancy cameras. I have a microphone, but we're not using it. Are you guys cool with this? Give me like a thumbs up if you feel like we should proceed with Creativity Bootcamp on Instagram tonight. Okay, we're going to have to move you into take you out of the streaming cart room, my dead tree. Oh, guys, I cannot keep a tree alive to save me. We're going to pivot. That's what we're doing. I'll just sit you down here in my studio. Oh, good. Thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Thanks for supporting me. I got to get a little bit of a better video for you guys. Just a second. I'm going to get a stand so I have to hold my phone. You guys, I seriously got like such a cool streaming cart set up. Can I save the video to watch later? Yes. And honestly, I think I will professionally video a YouTube so that I can have the full series on YouTube. I'm going to take you out of my phone case. And I should plug my phone in so it doesn't die. We love technology. It's so great. Except for when it doesn't do what we want it to, then it's not so great. Then we get frustrated. Bless you. Bless you, 18 people who are here. This is going to be great. You know why? You know why this is so difficult? Is because this is going to be like my coolest Creativity Bootcamp lesson. I was so excited about it. So excited. Okay. We're going to get some power to my phone so it doesn't die. And we'll see if Josh can work some kind of magic on my computer and on Instagram. Are you kidding me?
Unplug your...
Do you have sound now? Sound? I was just charging my phone. No sound. Let's see. I don't have my... I'm back. Okay. So are you telling me I can't have my phone charging? Watch. I'm gonna plug my phone in and see if we can have sound. Okay, just a second. Okay, now it's plugged in. Do we have sound still? Do we have sound? I'm back. Sound is back. Thank you, Lindsay Wells. Great, fantastic. Okay, we love going live. Going live is the best. Okay. Okay, so last week we talked about how to recombine our inputs. I gave you guys some homework. Raise your hand or give me a thumbs up if you did your homework and you came up with 50 bad ideas. I didn't fully complete my homework because I had, good job, Melissa. I had a huge project, a big photo shoot last Friday that consumed a lot of my time, but I did do some I was going to show you my really awesome thumbnails. You guys will be like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can make thumbnails like that. Okay, here you go. This is as far as I got. So this is me working out compositional ideas for a big painting that I'm doing, a big painting of John 9 from the New Testament. And I'm actually, like, I've been preparing to do this painting for like 6 months. So we've done this kind of stuff already, but honestly, just sitting down and trying to come up with my 50 bad ideas, I got some new ideas for my photo shoot that I had on Friday, and it went so well. It was so amazing. I can't wait to start that painting and bring you guys along. So I hope you guys found a good idea in your bad ideas, because I usually do, like, every time. And if you don't get one good idea in your 50 bad ideas, just come up with 50 more bad ideas. And you'll probably find a good one eventually. So today we're going to be talking about overcoming the creativity crushers. And when I was in college, I took a class on the writings of C.S. Lewis, and my professor told me the 3 things that kill creativity in that class. And he said that they are stress, fatigue, and fear. And I remember hearing that and being like, oh, I'm like all 3 of those. So shoot, how am I even doing anything creative at all? Like, how often do I do the bad ideas? Honestly, melodies of flight. I only do that when I have a new concept that I need to come up with. When I need a good idea, that's when I come up with the bad ideas. Okay, so stress, fear, and fatigue. We're going to talk about all 3 of these things today. And then I actually added a 4th one to the 3 that my teacher taught me. And the 4th one that I added is distraction, which I feel wasn't necessarily a creativity crusher when I was in college, because we didn't have nearly the distractions that we have now. But I'm going to start with fear. And you know what? I'm going to grab, I don't know. I made a cool PowerPoint so I can share it on my YouTube Live. I guess it'd not make a lot of sense to hold it up right here. So I think I'm just going to have to make a full professional video. I'm going to have to make one anyways. So I'll make a full professional video with all the quotes and everything, and you guys could pause it, and I'll post the link to that in a couple days, and it will be okay. So I'll just, instead of posting it on the screen, I'm just going to have to read it to you. But speaking of fear, in the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, we talked about this the first night. This one. She says, "You're afraid you have no talent. You're afraid you'll be rejected or criticized or ridiculed or misunderstood, or worst of all, ignored. You're afraid there's no market for your creativity and there's no point in pursuing it. You're afraid someone else did it better. You're afraid everybody else did it better. You're afraid someone else will steal your ideas, so it's safer to keep them hidden forever in the dark. You're afraid you won't be taken seriously. You're afraid your work isn't politically, emotionally, artistically important enough to change anyone's life. You're afraid your dreams are embarrassing. You're afraid of what your peers and coworkers will say if you express your personal truth out loud. You're afraid you're too old to start. You're afraid you're too young to start. You're afraid because nothing has ever gone well in your life, so why bother trying? Listen, I have all day here, so I'm not going to keep listing these fears. It's a bottomless pit, and anyhow, it's a depressing one." So that's from Liz Gilbert. And it is so crazy, right? Because it's like, why do we literally give more power to our fears than our inspiration? It is, right? Like, it's so easy. It's so easy to give into fear. Like, I think about how many, like, bits of inspiration I've had in the past years, and how often fear has come in front of that inspiration. It's like, hold up. No, you don't want to do anything cool. Like, no, because, you know, they'll probably think you're weird. Or, yeah, you definitely shouldn't apply or audition for American Ninja Warrior, because, I mean, you're a mom with, like, you've had 4 kids, you're in your 30s, like, people like you don't do American Ninja Warrior. Like any cool idea that comes instantly, it seems like fear almost comes right along with it, you know? Now, so what I'm planning in this class tonight is I'm going to bring up one of the creativity crushers, and then I'm going to discuss with you how I've learned to work with that thing or learned to overcome that thing in my own life. And because I mean, my personal experience is all we really have, like I have to draw from. And hopefully it will be helpful to you. So when it comes to fear, like I didn't intend for this series to be religious, but as I was literally writing about fear this morning, I was like, I don't know how to talk about overcoming fear without talking about faith. Because for me, it's like creativity inspiration comes from the ultimate creative source, which I believe is a higher power, which I believe is God. And then the opposite to all of that inspiration and beauty and light would be darkness and chaos and destruction, right? Like I believe in these eternal, like polar opposites, and that the adversary comes to stop you. And so anytime that I need to, find a way to work through fear, I always turn to faith. I could tell you, like I could give a half truth and say that I believe in myself, but I feel like I honestly can't even say that with a straight face because I don't really believe in myself. Like I actually had, what's her name? Cute girl sent me a message. Oh, Laura. She sent me a couple questions she wanted me to include in tonight's lesson. And one of them was like, how do you have so much self-confidence? And, I just I want to say, I don't. I have confidence in him. Like, I have confidence in God. Like, I've spent enough time with him to trust him and believe in him. And for those of you that, I'm pretty sure the 15 of you that are present are such beautiful friends and probably family members that you already know this. I didn't start with a lot of art talent, and I was going to include some of my gorgeous work from high school in my art journal for you guys tonight, just to show you, like, this is what Jenedy can do on her own. It's really great. I can collect leaves, and I put some glitter glue on it and some like vinyl lettering. But it's like, I feel like I already know what I'm capable of myself, and it's not like a whole lot. But I believe God is capable of anything. And so if I'm willing to partner with him, if I'm willing to seek his help, like I talked about, like inviting him to my studio, then we can do cool stuff together. And so when in my attempts to overcome fear, like I really don't know a way to do it without faith, like without belief in a higher power. Because if you believe in something higher than yourself, then it's not just yourself that you're working with. Because when I'm left to my own, I just know that like there's just not a lot. I have a little bit, but I can't do anything really cool unless I have help. And so if I need to overcome fear, I do things that help increase my faith. So I'll meditate, I'll write in my journal, I'll pray. And I don't care what God you pray to. I think any opportunity to seek for help from a higher power, it shows humility and it shows a willingness to learn and a willingness to grow. And that's always like beautiful soil for a creative experience. I had like this really cute quote from C.S. Lewis. So on Jenedy's book list, we also have, it's probably reversed for you guys, but it says The Screw Tape Letters. Give me a thumbs up if anybody has heard of this book or read this book, because this is the only way you can interact with me, and I like knowing that you care. But this book is fantastic. It's kind of like a book about God written in the opposite, because it's written from the perspective of a devil. And so Screw Tape is like a devil, and it's either there's Screw Tape and Wormwood, and one is an uncle and one is like a lesser devil. And yes, right, okay, Low Country, Lisa Marie, have not read it yet. Do it. It's so good. It's not even, look, it's like, you could read this in like a weekend. It's a short book. Anyways, it's like two devils, and they're writing letters back and forth about how they're trying to capture their patients, they call them. Try to keep people from believing in God. And at the very opening of the book, in the introduction, he says, readers are advised to remember that the devil is a liar. So he's basically telling you, like, everything that you read in this book is a lie. And I just thought, like what a beautiful thing to remember, that when you feel that fear, just tell yourself, readers are advised to remember that the devil is a liar. Like, if you're feeling that opposition, you just tell him, you know what? You're a liar, and I'm probably about to do something really cool right now, and you're trying to stop me. So I'm going to actually take, more courage from my faith and from my fear. Another quote that I had to share with you tonight is 2 Timothy 1:7. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And I actually did a painting about this and had a picture of it for you. I'll model it because it's a self-portrait, but it's called His Strength is Mine. And it's a self-portrait of me like this. And I have this chain, the same chain actually that, let's see if I can turn you guys. You see that? Whoop. You see that coming full circle painting with the chain? So it has that same chain from that painting, but the chain is now on my wrists, around my arms like this, and it's something that once held me down has become like a source of strength. And in that painting, behind my self-portrait, is the scripture from 2 Timothy 1:7, God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power. And I love that. Like, I should probably put that in big letters somewhere in my studio. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power. And, if you think about it, why do we have fear? Fear seems to come along with, everything that we do. It's supposed to, keep us safe, I guess. Keep us from jumping off a cliff. But what happens when fear, that painting was in my last Creativity Bootcamp. Good job, student. My artsy paint. So what happens when that fear that's there to protect you, to protect your life, tells you, if you sing this solo in front of these people, you will die. If you share your artwork with this person, you will also die. If you write this book, you will also die. If you give this speech, you're going to die. It's that irrational fear that always gets in the way. And I feel it. Before I walked onto American Ninja Warrior this year, you better believe I had fear yelling at me that I was going to die. So how do you not take counsel from your fears? Well, I choose the higher way. I choose faith. And so even though it doesn't mean that I don't ever feel fear, I just choose to not do what it's telling me to. I walk against it. It's like salmon swimming upstream. Okay, now Liz Gilbert, in her book, Big Magic, she has the most fantastic explanation or description of this, creativity and working with fear. And I have to read it for you because it is that good. And it's going to make you want to read her book because it's so good. So this is her letter to fear. Okay. Dear Fear, Creativity and I are about to go on a road trip together. I understand you'll be joining us because you always do. I do acknowledge that you believe you have an important job to do in my life and that you take your job very seriously. Apparently your job is to induce complete panic whenever I'm about to do anything interesting. And may I say, you are superb at your job. So by all means, keep doing your job if you feel you must. But I will also be doing my job on this road trip, which is to work hard and stay focused, and Creativity will be doing its job too. So its job, which is to remain stimulating and inspiring. There's plenty of room in this vehicle for all of us, so make yourself at home, but understand this. Creativity and I are the only ones who will be making decisions along the way. I recognize and respect that you are part of this family, and I will never exclude you from our activities, but still, your suggestions will never be followed. You are allowed to have a seat, you're allowed to have a voice, but you are not allowed to have a vote. You are not allowed to touch the roadmaps, you're not allowed to suggest detours, you're not allowed to fiddle with the temperature. Dude, you are not even allowed to touch the radio. But above all else, my dear old familiar friend, you are absolutely forbidden to drive. Isn't that so good? Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I feel like that really does kind of encapsulate how I feel about fear, and just like it's gonna be there. You're gonna feel it in your heart. You're gonna have butterflies. When I get nervous or when I'm afraid, I sweat profusely. It's kind of a problem. So if you ever see me sweating, just come to me like, "How you doing, Jenedy? I just want you to know, like, it's cool. You can breathe. It's going to be okay. You're safe. You're not going to die. Fear's telling you you're going to die, but you're not going to die." Okay, so the second one is fatigue. And I have this really cool picture that I wanted to show you guys. I bet I can pull it up. Because I wanted to show you some art from college when I dealt with stress, fear, and fatigue. And so let me pull this up real quick. Hopefully oh yeah, this is gonna participate, I think. My iPad's participating today. Oh yeah, you guys missed this nugget. Let's see. This is my picture of fear. I did this in college. Isn't that creepy? It's a self-portrait. Okay. Oh, this is such a good one too. And these are all art that's not on my website or Instagram, so you guys don't see it very often. This one is called Beyond the Ceiling, and this is my choosing faith over fear. Don't worry, I'll make a cool video. Okay. This piece of art I still love so much, and it almost makes me want to add this style into what I do, but it's so different from what I do. I created this, so we're now moving on to fatigue. Okay, so I did this painting about fatigue in college, and I did a digital illustration. I'm like a screen on a screen, guys. Okay, let's see if I get it close enough. You guys can see it. So this is a self-portrait as well. This is skeleton me. And you see I'm dragging, I have a alarm clock in my little skeleton hand. The time on the clock says 3:09 a.m. And these stairs behind me are supposed to represent like the descent from like sleep to wakefulness. And it's kind of surrealistic because you've got these mattresses in between I-beams. It was like totally, yeah, I wanted it to feel kind of dreamlike, but I drew this, and it was inspired by an experience that I had in college. So I've told you guys a lot that I woke up at 4 a.m. and I still wake up at 4 a lot to work. But in college, my situation was more desperate because I had all this time to make up for, because you saw my work that I was doing in high school, and I had roommates, and going to bed at 8:30 was really difficult. I mean, most of my roommates were just like getting started with their homework at 8:30 or like baking a pie or something. And so it was hard. Like I would try to go to sleep, but it would be hard to go to sleep. And, you know, there were times that I only got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep. And I even remember pulling an all-nighter. Give me a thumbs up if you've ever pulled an all-nighter for a project. And I remember I was really just pushing the envelope. You know, it's just like you just push your body as far as it can go. You just kind of want to see what it can do. And I remember one morning I got up at 3 and I walked into my bathroom and I flipped on the light, and all of a sudden it was like I saw this vision. like I had bags under my, so I flip on the light and I see this version of myself with like scraggly, like stringy hair, like half my hair had fallen out, and like big like bags under my eyes, and my eyes were like bloodshot, and my face was like super gaunt, like a skeleton. And it was like a flash. It was like I turn on the light, I see this scary thing, and then it was gone. But then it was weird because I felt like it was this warning. Like, was I hallucinating from lack of sleep? Maybe. Was God trying to tell me something? Possibly. But I felt this impression with it when I saw that scary version of myself, and it was, Jenedy, you need to take care of your body. Like, this is a version of you that could happen if you keep pushing it, you know? And so it was, and this was like relatively early on in my college career, but that vision of myself and that experience is what inspired this, digital art piece that I did. And I kind of made a commitment to myself then that I was going to sleep. And again, like I told you, I didn't mean for this class to get like religious, but let's face it, it's just like who I am. Like it's so interwoven with who I am. I don't know how to like be honest with you without including these truths, you know? And so that's when I learned that sometimes it takes faith to sleep. I mean, it does sometimes. I know that's a concept that some people are like, nah, I don't need it doesn't take any faith for me to sleep. But like, let's say you have a project and it's due the next day and you only have so much time and you have to get up, you know, it's like it takes faith to go to bed, because you have to say like a prayer when you sleep and just say, God, I'm going to go to bed now and I'm going to wake up at this time. And I just have faith that in whatever time frame I have in the morning, it will be enough. And that is hard. That's really hard to do. And sometimes I think maybe God sent me to a world where I have to live in time so that it's like I can practice my faith, because time definitely, the absoluteness of time, I feel like it offers you an opportunity to test your faith. And so this principle that I learned in college, that sometimes it takes faith to sleep, has actually been like a huge blessing in my life, because you do your best and then you give it to God. Little tangent. When my mentor, Bill Whitaker, passed away, it's a crazy long story that we don't have time for the whole thing tonight, but I'll just tell you that before he passed away, he asked me if I played the piano at his funeral. He asked me to play Bist du bei mir, which is his favorite song by Bach. And I had it arranged by my fantastic friend and amazing pianist, William Joseph. And, you know, it's like the time between someone passes away and a funeral is like a very fixed amount of time. So I only had so much time to practice this piece. And I remember it was like the night before his funeral, and I had some written music, but I was also listening to William Joseph's like in my earbuds as I was trying to listen and play and figure this song out. And it got to be really late. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I had yet to play the song perfectly once. And the funeral's like the next morning, and I've never played the song through perfectly once. But it was getting so late, and so this was another opportunity where it took faith to sleep. I had to just tell God, like, I've given everything that I have. Like, I've practiced as much as I possibly can. And I know that I need to sleep because sleep's important. And I'm just going to need you to be there for me tomorrow. And so I went to sleep. And then I woke up in the morning and I got dressed. I think the funeral was at 9. Like, I didn't have a lot of time in the morning. I think maybe I tried to run through it a couple of times. But then I just went to the funeral. And it's crazy because when you choose to live a life of faith over fear, like, can you imagine, like, I know what we just talked about, fear is kind of like seeping into this, but like, I could have stayed up all night, not had any sleep, still not played it perfectly, and then go walk into that funeral and had all this fear in my heart. Like, you're going to do terrible. You've never played it perfect. Like, you're going to just choke in front of all of your friends and all of these really cool artists that came to honor your mentor. And like, this is your one last opportunity to honor your mentor, and you're just going to mess it up. You know, like, if I chose to listen to fear, like, that would have been the dialogue in my head. But instead I chose to act in faith, and I went to sleep, and I woke up and I just said a prayer. Like, I've got everything on the table. Like, all of my effort is on the table, and I'm just really going to need you to be there for me. And so instead I went to the funeral in peace and in confidence. And I walked up to the front. I sat down at the piano. Anybody that was there, I didn't realize at the time how like visual this was, but I took this deep breath. It was like, and then I put my hands on the keys and I started to play. And it was beautiful. I don't think it was perfect, but it was beautiful. And when I played there was this long like arpeggio run at the end of the song, and I played like the last note, and then I just burst into tears right there, like sobs, like right there at the piano. And it was so beautiful, and God was there for me. He like didn't leave me hanging. And I was able to honor my mentor, and I didn't have to spend the whole morning and the whole night in fear. So I want you to think about that sometimes it takes faith to work past fear. Sometimes it takes faith to sleep. I do have a scientific like research quote here for you. This is like from an article by a journalist named Sam Turner, and he said, the phenomenon attributed to sleep by scientists as pattern recognition dictates that REM sleep is beneficial to the creative process. A study has shown that this stage of sleep helps the brain connect unrelated ideas, which in turn aids creative problem solving. When I read that, I was like, we talked about that. This stage of sleep helps the brain connect unrelated ideas. That's what creativity is. So you really do need that REM sleep to do your best work. So for what it's worth, take some faith to sleep and just take care of yourself. Like you only get one of these, and this is your instrument for which you're going to do all your creative work. So you need to take care of it. All right, now we're going to move on. I will say my magic number is 7 hours. I need 7 hours of sleep. And I honestly, ever since I had that crazy like hallucination in the bathroom in college, ever since then, I have held to that 7 hours of sleep. Like if I go to bed at 10, I wake up at 5. If I go to bed at 9, I can wake up at 4. If I go to bed at 8, I can wake up at 3. But I don't ever break that, because honestly, I've learned that I'll get like heart palpitations. Like I literally went in to get like EKG once because I was having like these like heart palpitations. They're like, your heart's fine. And then my husband's like looking up and he's like, so you're not stressed or tired, are you? And I was like, no, I'm fine. So we sleep 7 hours. And as a mom, it's hard because you have to be flexible. Because like the summer's gonna come, my kids are gonna want to stay up till 10, and I'm gonna have to change my whole schedule. But like that's how it goes. That's life, I will say one other thing as far as getting ideas and sleep. Sometimes you need to rest the idea, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Like you've all been trying to think of a name. Like the other day, I had a film crew here, and we were talking about cool movies, and I was like, "Oh, have you seen this Hunt for the Wilder People?" Which is a fantastic movie. You haven't seen it? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, yeah, like the main character of that movie is like fantastic. And they even have that song for him, and it was his birthday. And it was like, Baker, it's your birthday. What was his name? Oh, it was like something Baker. What was it? And he was like, and then you like turn your brain into like research mode, and you're going through like all the files, and you can't find the name, and it drives you crazy. And then you let it go. And then it was like, I let it go. And like a couple minutes later, like, Ricky Baker! It's your birthday! Yes, Serena, right? Isn't that movie fantastic? Hunt for the Wilder People. That's right. That's the name, right? Yeah. So sometimes you're forcing an idea, and then sometimes you have to let it go. And it's like, it's in the release. It's in like the rest of the idea that the idea will just pop up. So for example, Albert Einstein said his best ideas came to him while he was shaving. Grant Wood, who was the painter of American Gothic, that really famous painting of like the guy with the pitchfork, he said, all the really good ideas I ever had came to me while I was milking a cow. And then I don't know French, so I'm going to probably not do this name justice, but it's like Henri Poincaré, famous French mathematician, tells of working hard to solve a math problem. He failed, so he went on a holiday. As he stepped on a bus, suddenly the answer came to him. So, rest your bodies, but sometimes rest the idea if you need to. Okay, now we're moving on to stress. How do you manage stress? I have a lot of things on my plate. I'm not going to lie. Like I coach at an inch gym, and I'm a mom, and I have my studio, and I teach art, and I run an online store, and I do all of those things, and we're hosting I guess you can't really see it. open house here this weekend. And so how do I manage everything that I have to do? Like, how do I not have stress all the time? Well, one thing that I do is on Monday morning, I always sit down with an actual planner and my phone. And I make sure that all the things that I have to do that week are in both places. For me, I can't just put something that I need to do on my phone because I will forget it, because there's actually this phenomenon called digital offloading. Have you guys heard of this? So your brain literally, if you like, considers your phone like an external hard drive. And so if you put something on your phone, your brain thinks, I don't have to remember this anymore. My phone's remembering it. And so to help offset the problems that come with digital offloading, I write down everything that I need to do in a big binder, like a planner, just so that I don't forget. And it gives me it's like I do it on a Monday morning, and then I just double check every morning, like when I'm doing my journal pages. It's kind of like my process time, my planning time. And it just kind of gives me some peace and confidence to kind of like make a roadmap for my day. But the other things that I do for stress management, I do yoga at least once a week. I prefer to do it twice a week, but just like breath work and just kind of slowing down a minute. Like, so many of the activities that I do are fast paced, like rock climbing and throwing myself through the air and all that. And sometimes you just need a moment to just, like, in fact, you guys saw that I was in India recently and I went to like 3 different yoga classes. And a lot of the yoga there is breath work based. Like, they had me do this on my nose. I practice breathing in one side, hold it, and then breathe out this side. I can't believe I'm doing this for you guys. But you should try it. It's actually really hard. We had to breathe like that for like 10 minutes and my husband thought he was going to pass out. Oh, cute Victor, I see you just commented. So find something that, you know, as I was talking about resting ideas, you know, it's like work really, really hard, then go do some yoga. You might get some good ideas while you're kind of taking a break from the stress. And then I did have one cool old painting that I wanted to share with you guys in relationship to this. This is a painting I did in 2006. So I had just graduated college, and it's really rough. Like, if you see this up close, it's just like, it looks like one of my underpaintings right now. But it's called Morning Meditation. And I called it that because running for me has always been a very meditative thing. For a long time, like, I didn't do it competitively at all. It was just like a stress reliever for me. And it was almost like a sacred space, because I would think about things. And then I literally sometimes would pray. Like, I lived in Colorado. This is in Colorado. This painting is my sister, actually, who modeled for me. And I would just like go out into this field and run. And sometimes I would just stop. I didn't take my shoes off. That's just a symbol in this painting of sacred ground. But just, when's the last time you just sat in a field? I saw earlier one of the comments, someone said that her mom says people don't just sit enough anymore. But yeah, like, when's the last time you just went outside and sat on a porch? I'm so lucky because in my studio I have such a pretty porch. But those moments are important, okay? Now we're going to move on to distraction. Now, I totally believe that we currently live in a time where there's like a battle for our brain, like a battle for our attention, like all the time. Like, so many things that are demanding our attention. And I really do feel like this wasn't a struggle that I had when I was in college, because I didn't have a smartphone. I know that ages me. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I think it would have been harder to make it through college with a smartphone. So, sorry, I'm like trying to read comments. And Becca, what if your mind doesn't let you rest easily? Becca, have you tried breathing exercises? I think that's the cool thing about the breathing, that it takes focus to breathe in through your nose, hold it for 6 counts, and breathe out. Your brain is involved, but it's also restful. So, Rebecca, I would suggest looking at breathing exercises or yoga. Also, like cold therapy, like cryotherapy. Becca, try sitting in an ice tub and then going into a sauna. That's good too, because it's hard to think about other stuff. Okay, speaking of distractions, I'm just kidding. Becca, you're not a distraction, it's fine. Anyways, I feel like we're living in a world where there is such a clamor, such a fight for our thoughts all the time. And I actually found this quote by C.S. Lewis that I love so, so much. And it is also from the Screw Tape Letters. If you weren't here earlier, Screw Tape Letters. He says, this is so great. So you got to imagine this is from the perspective of a devil. So a devil is speaking right now. And he says, "It is funny how mortals always picture us putting things into their minds. In reality, our best work is done by keeping things out." Think about that. Isn't that crazy to think that like we so all the time think like the adversary is trying to put thoughts into our head, and he's like, our best work is done by keeping good things out. And I super, super love that. And then I've got this big magic. Listen to what Liz Gilbert has to say about distraction, because this is so beautiful. "Ideas spend eternity swirling around us, searching for available and willing human partners. When an idea thinks it has found somebody, say you, who might be able to bring it into the world, the idea will pay you a visit. It will try to get your attention. Mostly you will not notice. This is likely because you are so consumed by your own dramas, anxieties, distractions, insecurities, and duties that you aren't receptive to inspiration. You might miss a signal because you're watching TV or shopping, or brooding over how angry you are at somebody, or pondering your failures and mistakes, or just generally really busy. The idea will try to wave you down, perhaps for a few moments, perhaps for a few months, perhaps even for a few years. But when it finally realizes that you're oblivious to its message, it will move on to someone else." And then in Elizabeth Gilbert's book, she shares an experience where she had an idea like that, and then it did go and find somebody else. And then she saw somebody else creating a book that she wanted to write, and she was like, oh my gosh, the idea just like went from me to them because I didn't do anything with it. And C.S. Lewis gives another story. This one is, this is in Screw Tape Letters too, where he talks about how the devil was like, was working with this patient, and the patient went into a museum and he started to have some inspirational thoughts. Like the enemy was speaking to him, right? So in the Screw Tape Letters, the enemy is God because it's reversed. So he's like, the enemy was whispering something to him, and I could tell. And so what did I do? I reminded him that he was hungry. And then by the time I got him out of the museum and he saw the bus and the newspaper, it was gone. Whatever inspiration he had was out the door. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Oh, it's so true. So how do you fight distraction? And I honestly would love to know how you guys fight distraction, because I feel like this is like the problem of our day. But for me, one thing that I try to do, and like I'm realizing that a lot of these patterns that I have to help me with my creative life begin in the morning. But when I'm doing my writing in the morning, when I'm trying to do my meditation in the morning, when I'm trying to set my course for the day, I try not to have my phone within reach. And it's so funny because the other day I was writing about this amazing experience I just had, like an amazing experience. And my phone was on the table. And I think maybe like 4 or 5 times I like went to reach for it. And I was like, no, like, stop it. I would be like, what's the weather? No, focus. We're doing something important. You're writing something really cool. But what are my kids going to have for lunch? So when you need that focus time, when you need time to create, when you need time to think, when you need time to meditate, just put it out, so you can't reach it. And honestly, even when I paint, I'll either have my phone filming, so then I can't really use it because it's filming. And I do, but I will have it playing music because that's inspirational to me, or I'll listen to a book. Because one of my really great art mentors used to tell me that you just need just enough of something to keep your mind kind of occupied, not overbearing, but just something kind of humming in the background to help you kind of go on autopilot and do your best work. And I find that to be true. Like if I can listen to, I actually sing a lot while I paint. And so I'll turn on some music that I already know all the lyrics to, and I will sing and paint, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's like just enough to kind of keep me in this flow state with my painting. And I find that I do my best work if I have like a little bit of something like that. So it takes some discipline because there are going to be distractions. But one thing, I'm just going to share this quote from Artist Away. We haven't brought this one up today, but this is another one of my favorite books. So Julia Cameron says, "We have a daily quota of media chat that we swallow up. Like greasy food, it clogs our system. Too much of it, and we feel, fried. Without distractions, we are once again thrust into the sensory world." This reminds me of our first class when we were talking about getting creative inputs. "With no newspaper to shield us, a train becomes a viewing gallery. With no novel to sink into and no television to numb us out, an evening becomes a vast savanna in which furniture and other assumptions get rearranged." So the month leading up to Christmas, I put my kids, it was a family decision, but we went on a media fast, or a technology fast is what I called it. And what that meant was like every night after dinner, instead of like, I realized that we had this pattern in our family, maybe you do too, where it's like we'd have dinner, we'd finish lessons, climbing lessons, dance lessons, and then it was like default was like turn on the TV. You know, like we didn't watch anything bad. We watched cool stuff. We really like to watch alone, like survival shows, climbing documentaries. But still, it was like that. It was like habitual. And we decided that for a month we were not going to do that, and we were going to make a list of things that we wanted to do together as a family, like do a puzzle. We wanted to do our own British bake-off in our kitchen where we bake something together, play hide and go seek in the house, go for a walk with the dog. Just made a bunch of whole list of stuff. And then every night, one of the individuals of our family got to choose from that list what our family was going to do after dinner. And this wasn't every night, because some nights you've got things that go until it's time for bed. But the nights that we would have usually like watched a show, instead we chose something from this list. And I played hide and go seek in the dark with my kids, and it was so much fun. And we drew together, and I realized that we don't think that we do, but we give a lot of time to things that don't super matter. So that leads me to my homework for the Creativity Bootcamp this week. And again, I promise I'm going to make an actual video to make up for what happened tonight. I'm going to figure out why my camera isn't working with my computer. And I'm going to film an actual Creativity Bootcamp and put it on YouTube so we can continue the series. And honestly, if you share it, that would be awesome. Like if you know anybody that could benefit from any of these thoughts, that would be great. But this is your homework, okay? Because we're going to be fighting stress, fear, fatigue, and distraction. So it's kind of like a 3-part thing, okay? I want you to, challenge number 1, go to bed 30 minutes early this week. I know. You can do it. Try it. See what happens. 30 minutes early every night if you can. Do your best, okay? You are going to do something that scares you this week and write about it. I like that one. We're going to face our fears, okay? Thanks for coming, Faye. And then, wait, Faye, your third one is a media fast after dinner for the whole week. So after dinner, you're going to do something that doesn't require a TV, a phone, a Nintendo, a computer, and see what happens. Because I think you might find that you might end up doing creative things if you don't have those distractions. So I'll say those three one more time. Go to bed 30 minutes early. Do something that scares you and write about it. Do a media fast after dinner every night. No screens allowed after dinner, okay? So that concludes our Creativity Bootcamp. I'm sorry for everything that happened. I'm doing my best over here. I really am a rookie when it comes to streaming, but hopefully I will get better at it and figure out all the glitches. If anybody has a question, I know I went over time. If anybody has a question, I will happily answer. I do have a question from Laura Harper from last week. And she said, what was your transition like for you when you decided to go from liking to do art to selling and sharing your artwork? Was the vulnerability of that difficult? Any tips just now as I'm going through that transition? So yeah, it was difficult. I feel like for me, I didn't have much of a choice. I didn't get to like decide like, am I now going to enter the land of selling my art? I think when you study art, like when I got a degree in illustration, it's just like, you will do that. You know what I mean? Like, you study to produce art to sell it. So as soon as I graduated, I didn't ever have to make that like mental shift of like, I'm just creating art for fun. Now I'm going to sell it. It was like always I was creating art and I need to sell it and I need to find out a way to sell it. And the best way for me was I started selling it on eBay. And I know that that's not like a thing right now. Maybe it is. I don't know. But Instagram, you can sell your work on social media. I think it's great. Especially when you're starting out. Like I was selling my art for $100. It was super cheap. And I was excited just to be selling work. And I sold work pretty consistently. And it gave me a lot of confidence as I sold that work. Is it vulnerable? Yes. Of course it is. And there's paintings that didn't sell. And I still have paintings that don't sell. And you just don't take it personally. You think, wow, that was a great learning experience. Or you think, maybe the right person hasn't come along and that painting is meant for a special person. And so you just like hang on to it and just see what happens. But for those that didn't go to school and who are hobbyists and want to get into the world of transitioning from creating art for fun to selling it, for me, like as far as like prints go, it started with me just making a painting that I liked and I wanted to share it. I mean, it was like that simple. Like, if you make something that you like and you want to share it, you should share it. You can share it by making prints and just giving them away as like Christmas gifts. That's how I started, honestly. As far as prints are concerned, that's how I started. I was selling original art before that, but and then I just tell people to enter stuff in shows. Like there's all kinds of shows, and they don't have to be big shows. Like don't shoot for like the Springfield Museum because they reject me too. Shoot for like the state fair or your local city days in the summer, or find like a non-threatening environment to share your art in and just start small and go from there. But I really do feel like you guys are all so lucky because we're living in a world of social media and you can put anything you want on social media and share it, and that's so cool. And it is vulnerable, but that's just part of it. It's just, and when I say vulnerability, I feel like it's just, I'm saying like fear's coming along for the ride, like we talked about, Just realize that fear's taking a back seat. That's going to make you feel vulnerable. It's okay. Don't let fear drive. All right. Do we have any more questions before we end this Instagram Live Creativity Bootcamp workshop? I have a question. Does anybody know how to fix my webcam situation? I'm gonna have to go watch like so many YouTube videos now to figure it out, but we are learning. It's a learning curve. Well, bless you for being here. Go do your homework. I hope that this was helpful to you in some way, and I will see you next week on YouTube Live, so help me. And I'm gonna be here like an hour early. Oh, Melody, I would love to hear more details about what your routine looks like in the morning. Also, do you tend to set a goal of how much time to spend working on your painting each day? Well, every morning is different. But there's similarities. Like there's a pattern, but it shifts. Like, how about I tell you today? Today I got up at 4:30 because I went to bed at 9:30. It always tells me when I'm going to wake up. I've been reading my kids Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter, and I feel like this is like a rite of passage. Like my children need to hear like Harry Potter, So we're reading it at night, and it's made I like try to still go to bed at 9, but then I get into Harry Potter, and then I'm like, Anyways, I woke up at 4:30. I wrote in my journal. I made a plan for the day. I left for the gym at 5:30 because on Tuesday mornings I have to teach a 6 a.m. adult beginner ninja class for anybody that wants to come. I don't know if you guys saw my reel about it, but my class did amazing today. It was so fun. And then I'd come home from that class at like 7:30-ish, between 7 and 7:30, and I get my kids off to school, make them breakfast, do all that, shower, get dressed, and then I come back to the studio and work while they're at school. Now, tomorrow, I don't have to teach ninja class at 6, and I really want some solid painting time, because honestly, like today, I had to prepare my Creativity Bootcamp for you guys, and I had to help get ready for my open house on Saturday, and Friday and Saturday. And so I only got in like an hour of painting. And I feel like I need a solid painting session because I'm so into this painting that I'm working on right now. So tomorrow I'll probably get up at 4 and come here to the studio, and I'll paint until 7. And then I go home. I'm always home between 7 and 7:30 to help my kids get off to school. And then when they go off to school, I'll probably like come back to the studio, and there's a ninja class that meets at noon tomorrow. So then I'll go work out at noon. So it's like, it's funny because it's like I have all these elements to my life that I would all love to do in the morning. I would love to paint in the morning. I'd love to run in the morning. I would love to write in the morning. I would love to ninja in the morning, right? But you can't, because you only have between the hours of 4 and 7. And so I feel like every day just kind of gets rearranged a little differently. And like, if I work out in the morning, then I paint in the afternoon. If I paint in the morning, then I work out in the afternoon. And I just shift those kind of blocks around in my schedule every day. So anyways, it's 8:30. I got to go home and read some Harry Potter. Thank you guys so much for coming, and we will see you next week.